Brahmista, expert in following the regulated principles of Vedic scripture. Lokapavana, who engage in delivering the entire world from a fallen condition. Haranti shall remove. Agam, the reactions of sinful life. Te, of you, Mother Ganges. Anga Sangat, by bathing in the Ganges water. Teshu, within themselves. Aste, there is. He, indeed. Agabit, the Supreme Personality Godhead who can vanquish all sinful activities. Hari, the Lord. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Bhagirath said, those who are saintly because of devotional service and are therefore in the renounced order, free from material desires, and are pure devotees, expert in following the regulated principles mentioned in the Vedas, are always glorious and pure in behavior, and are able to deliver all fallen souls. When such pure devotees bathe in your water, the sinful reactions accumulated from other people will certainly be counteracted. For such devotees always keep in the core of their hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can vanquish all sinful reactions. Purport. Mother Ganges is available to everyone for bathing. Therefore, not only will sinful persons bathe in the Ganges water, but in Haridwar and other holy places where the Ganges flows, saintly persons and devotees will also bathe in the waters of the Ganges. Sorry, not only will sinful persons bathe, but also devotees, saintly persons will bathe. Devotees and saintly persons advance in the renounced order can deliver even the Ganges. Tirti kurvanti tirtani svanta sthena gadabrita. Because saintly devotees always keep the Lord within the core of their hearts, they can perfectly cleanse the holy places of all sinful reactions. Therefore, people in general must always respectfully honor saintly persons. It is ordered that as soon as one sees a Vaishnava or even a sannyasi, one should immediately offer respects to such a holy man. If one forgets to show respect in this way, one must observe a fast for that day. This is a Vedic injunction. One must be extremely careful to refrain from committing offenses at the lotus feet of a devotee or saintly person. There are methods of prayaschitta or atonement, but they are inadequate to cleanse one of sinful reactions. One can be cleansed of sinful reactions only by devotional service, as stated in regard to the history of Ajamil. Kechit kevalya bhaktya vasudeva parayana agam dunvanti kartsnena niharam iva bhaskara. Only a rare person who has adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. If one is under the protection of a devotee and sincerely renders service unto him, by this process of bhakti yoga, one is certainly able to counteract all sinful reactions. Om Gyanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Ummalitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Swaparantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamshta Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Vadam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamshcha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindhiveva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So my obeisances, good morning to everyone. My obeisances to all the senior Vaishnavas present here. I ask for your blessings that I may say something beneficial to everyone, mostly to myself, because to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and to speak Srimad Bhagavatam is purifying to the speaker and to the listener. So this chapter is basically about how the Ganges came to the earth. So there was the king Ansuman, and he had tried to do it, and he wasn't able to do it. And then his son, Dilip, also was not able to do it. And then his son, Bhagirath, who's a very famous person, he was able to, by his austerities, bring the Ganges down to the earth. And so by his austerities, Mother Ganga was very pleased by him and said, what would you like? And so he said, please come down to the earth. And she said, well, there's two issues here. If I come down, I come down with such force from the higher planetary systems that it will actually pierce the earth, and then I will go down to the lower planetary systems. And so that's a concern. And also, sinful people will bathe in my waters, and I'll become contaminated by that. So what is what are the solutions for this? So Bhagirath thought, and he prayed to Lord Shiva, who's known as Ashutosh, who's easily pleased, and to help him. And so Lord Shiva agreed to actually be like the receiver of Ganges. That's why when you see pictures of Lord Shiva, you see on his top knot, you'll see water coming out. This is the Ganges, I believe. I think that's what it is. But and so the second concern was how will I not be contaminated? So this is what this verse is describing, that those who are devotees, pure devotees, they will actually purify the Ganges. Tirti kurvanti tirtani. That's a very famous verse that Srila Prabhupada quotes, that the devotees, the pure devotees, they're actually places of pilgrimage, and they purify places of pilgrimage. So let's look at the purport here. So one of the points is that one should not go to a holy place to just bathe in the waters of a holy river, or to just go there to the holy place. Actually, one should seek out saintly persons in a holy place. There's a verse that describes this, that sometimes when we think about going to a holy place, we think about just doing a parikram or things. But actually, the main point of the holy place is to seek out the devotees, because the devotees, the pure devotee, carries Krishna within their heart, and they actually purify all these places of pilgrimage. And then the purport talks a little bit about as soon as one sees a Vaishnava, one should immediately offer respects to such a holy person. So this is Vaishnava, this is a part of Vaishnava etiquette, that we pay obeisance to a sannyasi, not just to pay obeisance or to a holy person. We don't pay obeisance to them. We also pay obeisance to their ashram. The sannyas ashram is considered a very elevated ashram. So we are offering obeisances to that ashram when we're offering obeisances. So the Prabhupada says here, this is a Vedic injunction. And one must be careful not to commit offenses. So it's actually considered an offense if you don't offer obeisances. And he actually says here, if you don't do it, then you have to observe fast for that day. Very interesting. Then he goes on to talk about atonement. So the actual process of atoning. One cannot actually atone for fully unless one performs devotional service. So let's look at a few verses that, let's firstly look at the verse that he quoted in the actual purport, the Tirti Kurvanti Tirtani. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 13th chapter, 10th verse. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places of pilgrimage, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage. I believe this is Vidura speaking to Maitreya. So the purport goes on to say, a pure devotee like Vidura always feels the presence of the Lord everywhere. He sees everything in the potency of the Lord, and the Lord in everything. The holy places all over the earth are meant for purifying the polluted consciousness of human beings by an atmosphere surcharged with the presence of the Lord's unalloyed devotees. If anyone visits a holy place, so this is the point, he must search out the pure devotees residing in such holy places, take lessons from them, try to apply such instructions in practical life, and thus gradually prepare oneself for ultimate salvation, going back to Godhead. So we see all over the Srimad Bhagavatam that it's full of people meeting of devotees, and them discussing, one being perhaps the junior in one sense and the other senior, instructing. So to go to some holy place of pilgrimage does not mean to take bath in the Ganga or Yamuna, to visit temples situated with those places. One should find representatives of Vidura who have no desire in life save except to serve the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead is always with such pure devotees because of their unalloyed service, which is always without a tinge of fruitive activities or utopian speculation. So what is a pure devotee? A pure devotee is unalloyed devotee. Unalloyed, alloyed means that there's a mix. Unalloyed means there's no mix of anything. Pure. Pure in their motivation of devotional service. No concept of anything for myself or any kind of selfish desire for fruitive activity or any kind of jnani kind of desire for knowledge or anything like that, but only for the pleasure of the Lord. Everything is for the pleasure of the Lord. I'll describe later what the qualities of a pure devotee are, because we kind of throw that around a lot. Pure devotee. What does that actually mean? Right? They are in actual service of the Lord, specifically by the process of hearing and chanting. The pure devotees hear from the authorities and chant, sing, and write the glories of the Lord. Like there's that verse that one should take initiation from a guru, but who is that guru? One of the qualities is that they're able to convince others of devotion, of faith in the Shastras. They themselves have faith in the Shastra, and they're able to convert, but to convince others of Krishna consciousness. That's how you tell who is qualified. And so he says here, the process of hearing chanting, they're always chanting. Mahamuni Vasudev heard from Narada, and then he chanted in writing. Sukadeva Goswami studied from his father. Then he described it to Parikshit. That is the way of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is talking about the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. The book Bhagavat is very important. Shastra is very important. Person Bhagavat is also equally important. Someone to describe it to us, what the book Bhagavat is saying. One sadhu was asked by a devotee, I'm reading Srila Prabhupada's books and that is enough for me. And so the sadhu said, come here. And he pulled his ear really hard. And he said, ow, what did you do that for? And he said, the books cannot do that. The books cannot do that. The point being that if you are going astray in some way and you need to be corrected somehow, the book will not be able to do that. You need the person Bhagavat to do that. So that's why the importance of the Shiksha Guru. Diksha and Shiksha are very important. Both are equally very important. Diksha meaning the formal initiating guru, and Shiksha meaning the instructing guru. Sometimes they are the same person, not always. Diksha Guru has to be one person, and Shiksha Guru can be many people. We can take Shiksha from many people. So the Shiksha Guru is able to, according to the person, able to give instructions. They're able to give relevant instructions to that specific person according to their adhikar, according to where they are in their devotional life. So that's why having Shiksha Gurus is very important. The person Bhagavat is very important. So by their actions, the pure devotees of the Lord can render any place into place of pilgrimage. And the holy places are worth the name and the holy places are worth the name only on their account. Such pure devotees are able to rectify the polluted atmosphere of any place, and what to speak of a holy place rendered unholy by the questionable actions of interested persons who try to adopt a professional life at the cost of the reputation of a holy place. Holy places are full of all kinds of people. People who are trying to, like Prabhupada is saying here, who are trying to use it as a way to further their sense enjoyment. But if we look very closely, we will also see those devotees, unalloyed devotees who live in such holy places. They are not apparent. You have to look for them. Sometimes we think, I used to think like this, oh, Srila Prabhupada has left. There are no more pure devotees on this earth. It's not true. We have to look for them. They are there, but they're hidden. Just like in Vrindavan and Mayapur and all these places, the pure devotees or the unalloyed devotees. They're not going to come out and make a whole parade about things. They're doing their bhajan. They're hidden doing their bhajan. They don't care for sometimes they don't care for making a show of things. But if we really look closely, we'll see them. If we understand through Shastra Chakshush, who a pure devotee is, then when we see the activities and behavior of a devotee, we'll understand, oh, this is a pure devotee. This is a Vaishnava. This is a pure Vaishnava who I must take their association. Of course, we don't use it as okay, this person is not pure, so I'm not going to associate with them. We don't use it as to make offenses with, or to really judge with. Of course, discrimination is there, but we don't use it as a way to okay, I don't want to associate with this person, therefore I'm going to justify that by saying they're not pure devotee. We have to respect all Vaishnavas, although, as it says in that one verse, Swajatiya Sangha. Swajatiya means like-minded. Of course, there's different stages of those who associate with a peer in a peer relationship, devotees, and those who you take instruction from who are above, and those who you give instruction or you give your association to. There's different things there. But in this case, we're talking about those who we have a peer relationship and those who we take instruction from. Of course, I'll discuss that after about who the pure Vaishnava, pure devotee is, what their qualities are. Let's look at another verse in the 6th canto, and this was quoted in that purport as well, the Kechit Kavalya Bhaktya verse. This is from 6th canto, 1st chapter, 15th verse. Only a rare person who has adopted complete unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can dissipate fog by its rays. So this is talking about what we know technically as the different types of karmas, prarabdha karma and aprarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma means those karmas that we are suffering from right now at this very moment, just as this body. This body is considered a prarabdha karma. Aprarabdha karma is those sinful reactions that we have not experienced yet. Anyway, the purport describes it here. Let's read a little bit of this purport. Srila Prabhupada's commentary. In the previous verse, Shukadeva Goswami gave the example that dried leaves of creepers beneath a bamboo tree may be completely burned to ashes by a fire, although the creepers may sprout again because the root is still in the ground. So this is an example that Shukadeva Goswami gave, that when in a forest fire, little small creepers or little plants that were underneath all the leaves, they may sprout again after the fire is over because the roots have not been burned. So similarly, because the root of sinful desire is not destroyed in the heart of a person who's cultivating knowledge, who has no taste for devotional service, there's a possibility that his sinful desires may reappear. So the point here is that through devotional service, these karmas are actually burned at their root, while cultivating knowledge or any fruitive activities or tried to do it in a manual way, you can say, is not going to destroy those desires and those sinful desires at their root. So then he quotes Shreya Shrutim Bhaktim Udasyate Vibhu Kishyanti Ye Kevala Bodha Labdhaye. Speculators who undergo great labor to gain a meticulous understanding of the material world by distinguishing between sinful and pious activities, but who are not situated in devotional service, are prone to material activities. So those who are trying to kind of, with their minds understand, okay, what is sinful activity, what is a pious activity, but they're not actually engaging in devotional service. It's just kind of only on a jnani platform. They are not going to be able to, they are actually prone to material activities. They may fall down and become implicated in fruitive activities. If one becomes attached to devotional service, however, his desire for material enjoyment are automatically vanquished without separate endeavor. Bhakti parishanu bhavo virakti ranyatra cha. If one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, material activities, both sinful and pious, automatically become distasteful to him. This is the test of Krishna consciousness. So this is a very important verse. Bhakti parishanu bhavo virakti ranyatra cha. It describes how when someone eats, what happens when someone eats? Their hunger goes away, they're satisfied automatically. And there's a third thing that I can't remember, but that is in similarity to bhakti, that when one performs devotional service, what is the one becomes satisfied in one's heart, and one automatically, material things become distasteful to him. This is the test of the Krishna conscious. I heard one sadhu say, how do you know you're advancing in Krishna consciousness? It's because all these things that were once tasteful for you, they become distasteful, material things. That's how you understand, okay, I'm actually gaining taste in things of the spirit, and things that are of material, in material life, these things are becoming distasteful. But if things are becoming that are material becoming tasteful, you're doing something wrong, or you're becoming more, unhappy. You're doing something wrong. Krishna consciousness is joyfully performed. Of course, we talk about chant and be happy, but there's the chant part, and then there's the happy part, but there's so much in between. Actually, what happens? What we say, anartha nivritti, this kind of intermediate platform of how one sadhu described it as when you're swimming in the ocean, you where you left off, you don't see it, and where you're going, you don't see it. You're just swimming. Usually when you're swimming, you see where you came from, and okay, I see land there still, or you're going farther enough and you see where your destination is. But anartha nivritti is this kind of long intermediate area where you don't see where you're going, and you don't see where you came from. You're kind of just swimming. So this is a very kind of difficult area, because you're experiencing, you're kind of dealing with your anarthas, your anarthas means the unwanted things in your heart, whether it's anger or lust, greed, things like that, dealing with those things. So therefore, as soon as one is reclaimed to the platform of devotional service, he relinquishes attachment for pious and impious activities, and his interest only in what will satisfy Krishna. This is the process of bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. Vasudeva Parayana relieves one from the reactions of all activities. So the pure devotee, they're interested only in satisfaction of Krishna, not their own satisfaction. This is also another characteristic. So then that purport goes on to talk about what is pure devotional service. Anyabhilashita Shunyam, the very famous verse. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. Srila Rupa Goswami further explains that bhakti is kleshagni shubhada, which means if one takes a devotional service, all kinds of unnecessary labor and material distress cease entirely and achieves all good fortune. So this is described in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that one of the first characteristics of devotional life is Shubhada, auspiciousness, Kleshagni, which means that all the distress ceases entirely. This is huge. This is how, this is only the beginning of devotional service. Auspiciousness. You see your life become filled with auspicious things, auspicious events, auspicious people. Your distress, your material distress will start to cease. This is very attractive, but this is not what devotional service is for. Don't stop there is the point. We shouldn't stop there. Okay, my life is so beautiful. I have everything I need. I'm very happy. No, we shouldn't stop there. Further, what are the further process of devotional service? The furthest being, you will have distress. You'll have distress because of prem. You will suffer because of love, out of love for the Lord. How can I please the Lord? Just like the residents of Vrindavan, how they were distressed in so many ways, but not in that material distress, in distress of how to please Krishna. Right? That's a point. Bhakti is so powerful that it is also said to be moksha lagutakrit. In other words, it minimizes the importance of liberation. There's a verse that talks about that liberation is a servant of pure devotional service. It's standing there with his hands folded, liberation personified, standing there with her hands folded at or how Dhruva Maharaj, when he got onto, or Prahlad Maharaj, I can't remember, when he got onto the plane to go to Krishna, to higher, to the spiritual world, he stepped on the head of liberation, or was it the head of death? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sorry. That's I won't quote things that I don't know. But anyways, the point is that liberation sits at the feet of those who are striving for pure devotional service. Non-devotees must undergo material hardships because they are prone to commit sinful activities. The desire to commit sinful actions continues in the heart due to ignorance. The sinful actions are divided into three categories: patika, mahapatika, and atipatika, also into two divisions, parabdha and aprabdha, as I mentioned earlier. Parabdha refers to sinful reactions which one is suffering at the present. Aprabdha refers to sources of potential suffering. When the seeds, bija, of sinful reactions have not yet fructified, the reactions are called aprabdha. These seeds of sinful actions are unseen, but they are unlimited, and no one can trace when they were first planted. Because of parabdha, sinful reactions that are already fructified, one is seen to have taken birth in a low family or to be suffering from other miseries. So things that we're suffering from at the moment, we understand that these are from our previous sinful activities. So, sometimes the example is given of a grain silo. Like these silos you see, like when you go to a farm, you'll see these like cylinders, massive cylinder full of grain. So if you put in good grain, then you put in some, you fill it up with good grain, and then you put in some rotten grain. And then you take the grain out from the bottom of the silo. That's where you get it out from, right? Because it's a cylinder. You get the good grain, and time goes on. You forgot that you put in that rotten grain. And then as time goes on, later on, you get that rotten grain. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm suffering because of this rotten grain. But you yourself were the one who put in that rotten grain in the first place. Of course, we're not trying to spiritually bypass what they say, spiritually bypassing someone's suffering. But to understand what Shastra is saying here is that sinful activities that we have performed in previous 100 of lifetimes, we might be facing them at this moment. Okay. But we don't use that against others. That, okay, you're suffering and you're suffering because of your sinful activities. That can seem very callous. Devotees, I'll describe later, the pure devotee, one of the things that Srila Prabhupada describes a pure devotee is they're always compassionate to others and kind of suffering themselves from the suffering of others. So we try not to speak like that to kind of um, disturb people who are suffering. When one takes devotional service, however, all phases of sinful life, including prarabdha, aprarabdha, and bija, are vanquished. So this is the main point here, that by performing devotional service, these three types of sinful reactions, the bija, the seed, the prarabdha, the sinful activities we're facing at the moment, and the aprarabdha, the ones we haven't faced yet, or we haven't reacted to yet, all of these are vanquished. Lord Krishna tells to Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, devotional service in relationship with me is like a blazing fire that can burn to ashes all the fuel of sinful activities supplied to it. How devotional service vanquishes the reactions of sinful life is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Kapila Dev says to Devahuti, Devahuti says to Kapila Dev, my dear Lord, even if a person born in a family of dog eaters hears and repeats the chanting of your glories, offers respect to you and remembers you, he is immediately greater than a Brahmana and is therefore eligible to perform sacrifices. Therefore, what is to be said of one who has seen you directly? So devotional service is so powerful. We have to understand sometimes we can be callous to all the different what they say is chamatkars, or kind of what's a translation of chamatkar? Like a miracle, that happens in our devotional life on a day-to-day basis. We can become callous to those things, and we don't see them because it's something that we're so familiar with. But we should actually take these miracles that happen in our devotional life on a daily basis and use them as a catapult to move further in devotional life. I heard one sadhu speak like this, that because we are performing devotional service day after day, all these different miraculous things that happen in our life, we don't see them, but we have to keep our eyes open to these miracles that happen, and so we can further our devotional service and not feel like, oh, things are not happening in my devotional life. So then Srila Prabhupada talks more technically about different things here. Let's move on to another verse that he quoted in that previous verse. This is from the 10th canto, 14th chapter, the 4th text. My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is trouble. So this is glorifying devotional service and talking about how one who speculates about different things, about knowledge and whatnot, they were only going to have trouble. It's like beating a husked grain already, an empty husk. You're not going to get any grain on it. You only get trouble from that. So this is a glorifying devotional service and inspiring us to perform devotional service, the activities of devotional service, direct devotional service, hearing and chanting about Krishna. These are directly devotional activities that we should be performing. Anyway, in the interest of time, let's see what Srila Prabhupada talks about. Also, the Shastra talks about a pure devotee, the qualities of a pure devotee of Krishna. So these are the 26 qualities of a pure devotee from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. A pure devotee is merciful. So some of these are self-evident. Some of these are very interesting. Non-defiant, truthful, equal to everyone, faultless, magnanimous, clean, aware that everything belongs to Krishna. a performer of welfare work for everyone, peaceful, surrendered to Krishna, desireless, indifferent to material acquisitions, fixed in Krishna consciousness, complete in control of bad qualities, moderate in eating, not obsessed with material things, respectful, without false prestige, grave, compassionate, a friend to all, poetic, expert, and silent, speaks only about spiritual topics. So when we look at these qualities, the sadhu is like a mirror. When we meet a sadhu, when we meet an advanced devotee, they're like a mirror to us. And sometimes people don't like to meet pure devotees or high, elevated Vaishnavas because they see themselves. They see how much they are not like a pure devotee, right? When we read all these different qualities, we think, I think, oh my God, I don't have any of these qualities. Silent speaks, this is a really important one, speaks only about spiritual topics. How many of us can say that we're silent in that way? I certainly can't say that about myself. Non-defiant. I'm very defiant. when someone says something I don't like, I'm very defiant. Or when someone tells me to do something, I'm very defiant. Performer of welfare work for everyone. Like when we look at someone like Srila Prabhupada, we see all these qualities easily in the way he, on a day-to-day basis functioned. We see all these things. So anyways, the conclusion here is that pure devotees, because of carrying Krishna within their heart, are purifying the place of pilgrimage. And we should not go to a holy place just to bathe in the waters or to just visit those places, but actually to seek out the people who live there, the pure devotees who live there. And who is a pure devotee? A pure devotee is one who has all these qualities. Of course, there's gradations of pure devotees as well. There's gradations of devotees, but we should try to seek out those devotees who we feel inspired by and take shiksha from them, take instruction from them. From within our heart, we feel a connection with what they're saying, with how they're functioning and how they're living their lives. We feel inspired by that. And that's not always given by the books. This is a controversial topic, but the books cannot pull your ear like that sadhu did. The book cannot tell you you're doing something wrong. You need to change this about yourself. So that's the point. So anyway, if someone wants to ask a question or comments, we can take that now. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Hare Krishna. We have 5 minutes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for presenting nicely. Especially, I like the point about sadhu pulling the ears.
Yes.
Because the book Bhagavat is very nice to read, very sweet. We can really be absorbed also. But surely it's very difficult to be a personal servant of someone.
Yes.
Or to be in a position of being continuously instructed, corrected. So it's very difficult. It's not a very easy thing, I would say. So thank you for reminding that. It's very important reminder for me personally also. Adi Purush Prabhu raised his hands. Adi Purush Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I raised my hand. Feet. Hare, can I speak? I often feel that I get this a lot from Adi Purusha.
Yes.
And I need it. I mean, when we're driving in the car, I tell him, my God, my mind is racing. It's racing. And he says, your mind is over there. You are not the mind. The mind is over there. But he doesn't say it with a Brooklyn accent. I say it with a Brooklyn accent.
Yes. You're very blessed to have association of Adi Purush Prabhu and someone who could pull your ear like that. It's very important.
Yeah. I don't like it, but
yeah, that's natural. It's natural. We don't like that because of our false ego, that we also always want to be in control. We always want to, even in our devotional lives, we want to be in control. I want to do it like this. I want to do things like that. No, but if we want to actually understand devotional life, we need to take guidance of those devotees like Adipurush Prabhu, who can say, okay, you're going off the course a little. We need to bring you back on course. And this is the kindness of the devotees, that they can do that for us. Not everyone has it, but if you do have it, you can consider yourself blessed.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Oh, someone else raised their hand. Please.
Hare Krishna. This is Angelika. To that point of, I feel like it was there are so many beautiful points in your class, but one that really stuck with me was how you said that many people are trying to avoid the pure devotees because they are like mirrors to us. Yeah. And I definitely have experienced that in the past. And I would like to hear how can we prepare ourselves to really look into that mirror, and so we can seek more of their associations and be purified by their association, but also to really take advantage of that quality and really look into ourselves through them.
Yeah, we have to understand that devotional service is a lot about honesty, about where we are at. Sometimes in our society, we can kind of have to fit this certain kind of structure, what a devotee is. And sometimes when we don't meet the mark, we can be very we can drown ourselves in guilt. A lot of us experience that. But the point is that we have to approach devotees with honesty. We have to come there as so-called in a naked way, that this is who I am. Krishna, this is who I am. Prabhu or Mataji, this is who I am. And that's how you make advancement, from that platform of honesty. If you kind of put on a show of something, you can't make advancement because you think you're advanced already. So that's why, like you were saying, when we don't like to approach those devotees who make that mirror on ourselves, that we see who we really are. That honesty is a very hard thing to do, because our false ego doesn't want to see those things, because it wants to continue that story that we've created of ourselves. The story that I have about myself, it wants to continue that story. So I would say, I know I'm just experiencing like this what I'm speaking right now from like Vigyan, like realized knowledge. I'm actually experiencing it recently. Just now I'm starting to experience that, how important it is to get good association of higher Vaishnavas. Before it was not like, it's like, okay, you hear that, but you don't really kind of realize it's not wisdom yet. And so after a few years of Krishna consciousness, now I'm understanding, like, wow, this is really important. Like, this is something important that we should, and of course you can be apprehensive about it, but that's like with everything in life. We're apprehensive about so many things, but this is something that the Shastra constantly talks about. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Sastakoi, Lava Mata Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. All things can be attained by Sadhu Sangha. Even Lava Matra means 1/17 of a second association with a pure devotee. That's the technical aspect of Lava Matra. So anyways, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's something that's painful, but you have to do if you care about devotional service. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything about that, or if we're out of time.
Just wanted to kind of also ask your comments on that. Like, it seems like most of these crucial aspects in devotion service, like how you're mentioning senior association, they all come with a certain kind of a price, which is very uneasy sometimes, like feels like very more than uneasy, insecure also sometimes, to actually subject ourselves into that kind of a situation.
Yes.
So what do you suggest? Like, how does one overcome that feeling of insecurity or unease?
That's a tough one. I think it all has to do with like I said, being honest with one where one is at, because we feel uneasy because we're opening our hearts to this, to and are becoming vulnerable. That uneasiness is there because of becoming vulnerable. But if we have this concept of like, this is who I am, and this is how I'm approaching, and I don't know actually. It's a very difficult thing to describe, and it's a difficult thing to answer. I think it's something that one has to just try to do. Of course, not it's not like, okay, you're just you're ripping out your deepest, darkest to someone immediately, but in little stages. As faith is built in the Vaishnavas, as faith is built in Shastra, as faith is built in a particular devotee, then it gradually happens that one becomes so-called, so to say, naked to someone else, in the way of them seeing who you are truly. And that's how we can make an advancement. I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that.
Very wonderful class, fantastic class.
Thank you, Boo.
And she's asking a really good question. How do you get there? And you're saying there are stages. And what's described is, just like Vaisheshekar Babu says, I'm here to be corrected.
Yes.
When we have that, I'm here to learn and grow. I'm not that I know everything. So it says, first you know what's right, then you must want it. Sometimes we sort of know what's right, but we don't really, that's what I want,
Yeah.
We select, we focus, we desire, I know what's right and I want it. And then the next stage is, besides wanting it, something internally, we speak about it. We actually, it says that, right knowledge, then right aspiration, then right speech. And then the next step is right behavior, where we start to do some sadhana. We start to attend some classes. We start to do some service. We start to expose ourselves to what scripture says. So there's first knowing what's right, then wanting it, then speaking about it, and then actually acting, taking on regulation. The disciple is one who is willing to accept the discipline of the spiritual master,
Yes.
the yana, and the things to do and the things not to do. And we can, by degrees, we can apply things in our life. I go to class. I chant my japa. I come before the deity and I bow down. It's a very important point that you see a devotee and you bow down. You put the head on the ground. To say, me, I'm little and I'm very grateful to be in this person's, looking up to this person. The false ego is puffed up and proud and arrogant and thinking they know everything and thinking nobody better than me. And even like in the association of a devotee, we don't say, please instruct me. So it says, inquire submissively and render service. And then there's incremental things. Even if you begin to do some sadhana, something, then you want to become, you want to increase. If you just stay stagnant and you're not trying to grow and you're not trying to increase, Prabhupada told us, I want you to double your service every year. You ever hear that?
Yeah.
Russ, we want you to double your service every year. Why did you say that? Can't unring that bell. Oh my God! Why did he say that to me?
Yeah.
We desire that. I want you to take less every year and give more every year. So we know that we're on an upward path. We're not just here. Okay, we made it. We're finished. No. All glories to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. All glories to Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
I have somebody coming in at the.
Mute yourself.
Thank you so much, Ramaras bro. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Thank you
Hare
so much
Krishna.
for this extra
Jai, thank you, everyone, for joining. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Have a great
Ramaras Prabhu ki jai.
have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for starting our day with the most auspicious Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.